Hello, beautiful people. So this is going to be a very, very, very different type of stargazing presentation for Lammas. It's been one of those times when, it's been sitting there. Yep, need to do my Lammas presentation. I wonder when that's going to happen. And then Lammas comes and goes, and I'm like, interesting. Still got this Lammas presentation to do. And now we've actually lived through it. There's always a benefit in looking at the astrology retrospectively. However, when I actually went back and looked at the chart this morning, I could see how there were certain things that, that we had naturally aligned to already. And, this is what happens with astrology, is that we do tend to naturally align with the energy that is available to us. And for a lot of us, and for most people really, they do that in a very positive way. I've even started coming across young people recently, or youngish people, who were already very aligned with high vibration Pluto energy of a very relatively young age, like 18, 20. So we do naturally align, and usually at a higher vibration, because we're all basically happy people who want a nice life. But in doing that, we're often completely oblivious to what it is that we're learning, what it is that we're developing, and therefore how to ask the best questions to develop it further and faster. And, as you all know, we've all moved from this earth and water energy, which we've had for quite a few years up until last year, when everything felt very slow and trudge-like. And since then, particularly this year, everything's speeded up massively. Everything's changing very fast. And it all feels quite explosive because it's in air and fire. But we're about to go back into the earth and water. Saturn actually goes back into Pisces at the beginning of September, followed shortly by Uranus going retrograde, which means we will then have all the outer planets going retrograde. Now, this is always significant, to have all the outer planets going retrograde, because it's a time for reflection. It's a time to contemplate what we've learned and to go back over some old ground that maybe we didn't give enough attention to. And not only are they all going retrograde, but they're all going retrograde into another element, except for Pluto. Pluto will stay in Aquarius. But Saturn, Uranus and Neptune will all go retrograde into the earth and water elements that they were in up until the beginning of this year. So yeah, it's like some more of that mud and trudging. But it'll be with a difference. So I actually did this presentation already once this morning, and for whatever reason, it didn't get saved. So I'm doing it again, and this time I'm not actually showing you the charts. But this morning I also pulled a tarot card, which I don't normally do in StarGazing. But because I hadn't prepared a presentation, I thought, well, let's do something a bit different. Anyway, the card I got was the Queen of Pentacles. So, if you remember, she's got a lovely crown on with a sort of veil around the back of her head. It's all lovely colours, red and yellow. And she's holding a pentacle in her lap, like a ball. And she's gazing at it, almost as if she was gazing at a crystal ball. And of course, Pentacles is an earth element, and the queens are the water side of the suit. So, it was like, okay. So we're doing this reflection of the earth and the water, particularly with reference to what we think we didn't attend to sufficiently before we went into air and fire. And for me, the main thing with that has been self-care. And if you follow my daily posts, you'll know that I've been talking quite a lot about self-care recently, and I certainly did, I can't remember when, a year or so ago. Because we've had Venus approaching Jupiter, and as I speak, Venus is bang on Jupiter in Cancer. So Venus is all about what we love, and Cancer, the key word for me for Cancer is care. And so it's about this love of caring. And Jupiter always makes everything bigger, but it also makes us leaders. Jupiter leads by example. So when we care for ourselves, we lead by example. It's like we're educating without actually having to even do anything, really. Anyway, so yeah, this thing about self-care, and then of course, that old maxim, when you get on a plane, they always say, put your own oxygen mask on first, even before you do your children's. Because if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, if you don't care for yourself, then you'll have, passed out before you've got all your children's masks on, and you're about to then do your own. You won't be there for them. So you have to put your own on first. We have to care for ourselves first before we can actually care for other people. And this is such a hard one because most of us are empaths, and we naturally feel for other people. I mean, that's an incredible Cancerian quality, to be an empath. And it's all tied up with the Neptune as well, because Neptune is about unconditional love, and when Neptune moves back into Pisces, and Jupiter will still be in Cancer, and there will come a point where they are connected to each other, where Jupiter becomes trine Neptune in this water trine. And there's something there. Jupiter and Neptune are both ruled by, Jupiter, Pisces was the old ruler of Jupiter. So they're both ruled by Pisces, and Neptune will be in Pisces, and Jupiter's in Cancer, which, has a deep affinity with Pisces. They're both able, Scorpio can too, they're all able to perceive what is going on with other people. At an energetic, emotional, vibrational level. And sometimes it can be really hard to know how to say no, because we have to care for ourselves. as well. What use will we be to other people if all we're doing is giving? Absolutely nothing. We're going to need other people then to look after us because we won't be capable of doing it ourselves anymore. That's not good. So we have to learn to really tune in to our body's energy and to actually how our body is feeling, what it's saying to us, what our emotions are saying to us. And I think this is another opportunity that we're going to get going back into the earth and water signs, that it will be like, okay, so here's an opportunity for you to understand at a deeper level now what your body and your emotions are saying to us. This is a powerful learning that we've been going through. And then, because of the Jupiter and Venus in Cancer, we have that ability to go, okay, I need to care for myself. I need to take care of myself. And when we feel that at a very deep level, it then becomes much easier to do it. So I see that as a really big theme over the next, well, really, for the next sort of 6 months, but definitely, until the autumn equinox, by which time Saturn, all three planets, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, will all have gone into the previous element by the beginning of November. So it's not long, really not long. And then we're going to have about 6, they're going to be in the earth and water for about 6 months. And then when they come out, late spring 2026, that's it. They won't go back into the earth and water. And it'll be our responsibility to carry forward whatever it is that we learned. And I don't know, you're feeling tired. I hear a lot of people saying, oh God, I'm so tired and my body aches and da-da-da-da. And that's because the air and fire energy is so fast. It's so fast, our physical bodies are really struggling to keep up with it. We're having to take huge amounts of rest in order to process the speed. I'm just hearing quite a noisy thing up ahead. I won't go that way. So the other, this is called fleabane. Meant to be good for repelling insects, in your house or in your bed or whatever. Yeah, so the other thing that has come to me, and really the mishap over I always get them muddled up, but it's some sort of a vetch. Yeah, the other opportunity that came about from losing the recording from this morning, because as you can imagine, I was a bit miffed, was that I had to really look at it because I could feel how uncomfortable I felt about it. And I was like, okay, so, what's my belief system? What do I really think? It's happened for a reason. I know the universe doesn't do anything without it having an intention behind it. And often it will feel like, oh, there is a one there. It will feel like I've been thwarted. Whereas in fact, it was because I hadn't made the right decision, or I hadn't carried the right quality with me, or I just hadn't processed really what it was I needed to know. And I needed the opportunity in order to give me the extra information. This has started happening to me quite a lot, where I'm like, well, why did that happen? You know, why did I lose my phone in Chicago? Why did the recording of the presentation I did this morning just wasn't there? And then I have to ask myself, well, if it was done for my benefit, then what am I going to learn from this? What is it trying to teach me? So that's been a really fascinating journey. And what I realised from this morning was about right timing. So I said a few minutes ago that we're all needing to take an extraordinary amount of time to rest. And that means we don't have a huge amount of time to do all the things that we used to do, or that we think we need to do, or even that we want to do. But what I've discovered is that, a bit like this StarGazing presentation, I knew it was on the top of my to-do list along with the book, and I wasn't attending to either of them. It was just other things going on, and I just needed a lot of rest. So I battle inside myself a little bit with the, you really should be doing this. You need to do this. And that little bit of like, am I procrastinating? Am I putting it off? Am I afraid to do it? But then there's another little bit of me that's saying, that's just not the right time yet. Just not the right time yet. I can let go. I can trust that when it's the right time, it will happen. So this morning I did push it a bit. I was like, look, come on, I've got to do this presentation. Needs doing. And today's the last day I'm going to be able to do it with a bit of space. So I did it. I pushed it, made it happen. And okay, it revealed things to me. It was really useful. But then I lost it. And now I'm doing it like this. Well, I would never have thought of doing this. I'm really enjoying doing this. So, there's this thing about right timing. And just because something doesn't work doesn't mean that it was a failure. It was a necessary step in the understanding, in the growth, in the exploration in the creative process. Because whether I do it like this again or not, and whether you like it or not, this is, a creative development on the way I've been doing it before. And I wouldn't have had it if I'd seen this morning as a failure and given up. So, right timing. When I realised that it hadn't worked, I was like, okay, universe, I give up. I don't know. How's this going to happen? Do I need to do it again how I did it before? Because I knew I had to do it. I wasn't going to not do it. And then decided to go for a walk. So lovely and peaceful around here. And I just thought I could just talk while I'm walking along. I've already done a practice run this morning. And since then, I've learned a whole load of new stuff. And now I'm going to have a feast on blackberries. They look like good ones. So this retrograde phase that we're going to be entering in only 3 weeks is an opportunity for us to go back over that old ground where we dealt with our all the physical things. I mean, right timing is a physical thing. You know, time is ruled by Saturn. It's in our terms, it's a very material thing. I mean, it's not really, but when we talk about right timing, we're not talking about that clock time. But it is also, you know, we're very tied into that concept of clock time. And so it's another opportunity for us to, you know, release any more ties we have with that. And we did a lot of work on that. That's been one of my things for many years, has been all about transcending time. So I think we've got an opportunity to look at that. And then also to look at our self-care, particularly with reference to being empaths. Because my goodness, are our buttons being pushed at the moment, you know, in terms of care about this, care about that, care about this, care about that. There is so much that is drawing on our heartstrings. And we can't do it unless we know how to care for ourselves first. And here's a car coming. So I'm going to love you all and say bye-bye. See you next time.